Good morning. My name is Riikka Laine-Tolonen. I'm CEO for S-Pankki, and together with me here in the studio is Mika Heikkilä, our CFO. We have a pleasure to warmly welcome you to this webcast, where we will walk you through our performance from H1 and the highlights. I will start with highlights and comments, and then Mika will continue and do a bit more deep dive on selected topics. We are happy to answer your questions, and you can present your questions by pushing the questions and answers button and write your questions. Those questions will be moderated and we will answer those after the presentations. Looks like I cannot change the slide here. Wait a moment. Would you like to try? Just a moment, we will check. Okay, we can do it this way as well. Thank you. And sorry for a small hiccup here. S-Pankki had a very strong performance in the beginning of the year. We are about to start our next chapter. All our volumes show positive trend, and our operating profit rose to 57.6 million euros. Behind this development, there is a strong improvement in the net interest income, of course, due to our balance sheet structure and strong deposit base. But I am extremely proud also that behind the good performance is also organic growth. Our number of our active customers rose and the customers were more active, and that led also to increase in net fee and commission income. This strong performance is, of course, strengthening our capital position, and our capital adequacy ratio was 17.3% at the end of H1. It's good to note that also Standard & Poor's, the credit rating agency, did a review on our credit rating in June this year, and they kept the credit ratings unchanged. However, they changed the future performance outlook from stable to positive. They have also written a more thorough report, full analysis, which you can find on our web pages if you are interested to learn more about it. All in all, I want to thank our customers, employees, investors and owners for this strong performance for H1. But we also need to be humble, and we want to be humble, and we want to point out that there are still uncertainties in the operating environment. When we look at the development of the economy, employment or real estate markets, we see that the situation is uncertain. The prevailing interest rate levels and the sharp increase in living costs and housing costs may have a negative impact on some of our customers and their ability to service their loans. So far, the Finns have been very good in adjusting their economies and they have downgraded the consumption and used their buffers for higher cost of living. And this is, of course, where we want to support our customers. We exist because we want and we believe that everyone is entitled to a little wealthier future, and that is why we offer free daily banking services for the cooperative members of S Group. Because of this uncertainty, even if we see that the interest rate increase is having a positive impact on our performance, we keep our outlook unchanged for the whole year. So that means that we expect that the operating profit for the whole year will be almost double compared to last year, and then it was 44.7 million euros. And if I summarize my comments, of course, as I said, we are starting the next chapter on our journey towards 1 million active customers, and that is supported by the upward trend in our performance. It lays a very solid foundation for the next chapter. And the next chapter began when we announced that we are going to acquire Handelsbanken's Finnish personal customer asset management and investment services operations. A clear highlight is also that our active customer base rose to 625,000 customers. It is roughly 12% growth, and it is clearly one of the best numbers in the Finnish banking sector growth numbers. And highlight is also, of course, that our capital adequacy remained at a good level. That enables, of course, needed buffers, but also ability to do the operational development and enables growth in the future. It's good to do a bit more deep dive on our business units, and I'm really proud to say that both units show solid performance. Both units are profitable. Of course, banking has benefited more about customer activity, growth and interest income development. In banking, our market position is strengthened with stronger than market average growth, both in deposits and loans. And especially I'm happy that the deposits continued growing in Q2. It reflects to me the trust by the customers to S-Bank, and we also want to be on our behalf a fair bank, and we started to pay interest rate on daily banking accounts. And this is, of course, a signal that we value every customer and also their daily accounts. But also in wealth management, we did better than the market average with net subscriptions, which were 105 million euros. And I'm also glad to see that the number of the unit holders in our funds keeps increasing, and now it's 375,000 end June this year. As mentioned, the next chapter began when we announced the acquisition about buying the Handelsbanken's Finnish private customer asset management and investment services operations. I think it's good to repeat here a bit what is it about. This acquisition will strengthen our position as a bank for Finns. It makes us fourth largest player in the Finnish market in housing loans and deposits for households. We plan to combine the strengths of the both banks, and we are extremely proud that we were chosen to be a new home for Handelsbanken Finnish customers. So we are warmly welcoming customers to their new home, and we are also warmly welcoming roughly 220 new colleagues from Handelsbanken when this acquisition is completed. We will also acquire the leases of most of the Handelsbanken branches in Finland. It's important that we also continue good cooperation with Handelsbanken, and I'm happy that we will start offering funds managed by Handelsbanken Fonder to our customers in the future. This transaction will be completed now as we have planned during second half of 2024. And for the time being, the customers continue their existing banks and no action is needed from the customers at the moment. You can see in this picture the scale of the arrangement and how will the balance sheet look like. This is of course based on the signature date numbers. However, our loan book will grow with 3.2 billion euros roughly, and deposits with 1.4 billion euros. And the purchase price was based on the net asset value, and the premium was negative. To summarize, how does the S-Bank look end June 2023? Here you can see some of the highlights. I have mentioned some of these already. And of course, the operating profit, 57.6 million, is based on strong performance. But I also want to point out that the number of employees has grown up to 870. It represents roughly 10% growth rate, and we have invested in our customer service, risk management and operational excellence. As you can see, our customer base is strong, 3.2 million customers, and so it represents potential for future growth. And even more important maybe is that the customers are very digital. They have 2.4 million online banking IDs, which at least to me shows that we have strong potential to commercialize also the customer base because they are digital and we can reach them digitally. In addition to that, we have good availability for our customers with our network, 95 locations, and wide availability for cash also in S-Group branches and in checkouts, the cash withdrawal opportunity. It's also important that the number of unit holders of S-Bank funds is growing, and I think it's also a good proof point of our ability to do cross sales. To summarize, also our competitive position, I think a couple of words about that is good to give. And it's important to note that we have clearly differentiated customer benefits in this market. And that is, of course, based to S-Group ownership, and we are offering free daily banking services for S-Group cooperative members. And what we can also see that the S-Group loyalty program is a strength. It's a strength for us, but we can also see that the banking benefits play a larger and larger role when customers choose their preferred retailer. We combine in a very unique way both banking and S-Group services with our mobile bank, and with our network we have a strong local presence in Finland, as I mentioned already. And of course, it's important that we are a leading brand in fairness and sustainability too. Maybe one more thing to pick up from this slide is that we are a full-service bank, and we are offering highly competitive wealth management services, especially when we look at alternatives and the space of ESG in Finland. Our financial goals, dividend policy and guidance is here as confirmed, and I'm happy to tell you that we are already now actually reaching most of the goals, except number of 1 million active customers, which we are on a good journey towards. We will focus in the future also when we look at the organic growth to our existing customer base. However, of course, in the future, coming months, we are of course focusing on executing the Handelsbanken acquisition as well. With this, I want to thank you all from my behalf, and I give over to Mika to give more detailed information on certain figures and topics.
Thank you. So I will continue with the key financials. First of all, our operating profit was very strong in this review period, and you can see easily from this table that what is the size and scale of that. So already at the end of June, we made a higher result as last year, as full year. Also, the balance sheet structure is really good for us in these market conditions. We have grown quite balanced with the loans and deposits already many years, and still our loan to deposit ratio is 83%, which is quite low in the Finnish market. It's now contributing good net interest income for us. Also, our other key figures have improved in many respects, especially the return on equity. There is a sustained improvement in the ROE figures over these years. It was 13.3% at the end of June. Also, the capital base is robust, as Riikka mentioned. In total income, the growth has accelerated in last 12 months time. If we calculate just the past 12 months together, so the total income has been almost 300 million. So of course the higher interest rates and good deposit margins are also behind that development and the volume growth. Net interest income contributed about 71% of total income at the end of June. From business units, the banking segment contributed 87% of the total income, and the wealth management about 13%. You can see the operating profit figures also here. So last year, or year-on-year basis, last year the result was 13 million, and now this almost 58 million. We have very strong deposit base and funding base. It's driven by household customers. We can see the long-term development here. So totally the household customers deposits are about 7.5 billion euros, and corporate customers around 750 million. So the growth was bigger in household customers. It was 6.8%, but totally the deposit base grew by 4.8%. Also the growing lending is we have seen that already many years. Totally the loan book was 6.9 billion euros. From that, household customers about 5.7 billion, and the corporate customers 1.1 or 1.2 billion. Totally the loan book grew 6.9%. Our asset under management, they were 6.1 billion at the end of June. We can see that the total growth was 8.3%, especially the fund capital growth was 11.7%. Our credit quality is quite stable. We can see in the repayment holidays and payment schedules that there is no big change in this review period. Also in longer run, it has been quite stable, and totally about 7.5% of the household loans, they are subject to repayment holidays at the end of June. Our credit losses and provisions were totally 16.9 million in this review period. The increase is coming mostly from extra provisions from ESC. We have made in this 6 months period, we have made totally 4 million extra provisions based on management judgment, and there is behind this higher interest rates, inflation, weaker economic environment, and also we update our forward-looking information model, which effective about 2.6 million to this provision. We can see on the right-hand side down the stage 2 and stage 3 provisions. So there is increase both in stage 2 and 3 provisions, and on the left-hand side down you can see the coverage ratio. So now there is slightly up trending in the stage 3 coverage ratio at the end of June. In balance sheet there is no big change. It's quite stable. The structure is stable. So in the liability side, the deposits are dominating the picture, and in the asset sides, household loans are the biggest one of 5.7 billion of the total assets, which are 9.3 billion at the end of June. Our own funds and capital requirements, there is only slight increase in total risk exposure amounts or risk-weighted assets. And on the other hand side, the own funds has increased quite a lot in this period. Our capital requirements, they will increase by 50 basis points at the end of this year, but there are clear buffers to our regulatory requirements. On the left-hand side, you can see the equity ratio. It's quite stable, 6.1%. It has varied between 6.4 and 6.1 over these years. And on the right-hand side, you can see the Z1 and total capital adequacy ratio. So there are, in both key ratios, there is a clear improvement in this review period. Our liquidity and investment portfolio page, totally they are together 2.1 billion. There are slight increase compared to the figures at the end of last year. And we can see here that still the liquidity portfolio is dominating the whole investment activities. We have very strong liquidity position at the moment. LCR ratio, it was 186% at the end of June. There is a clear increase during this review period. And from the liquidity portfolio, they are all high quality investments, but most of the liquidity portfolio is coming from the cash in central bank. So it is 1.4 billion at the end of June. So this was last page from this my presentation.
Thank you. And we can hear that there are no questions, maybe because this was quite early in the morning. However, we want to thank you for your attention and as I started, I also want to thank customers, employees, investors and owners for the strong performance H1. Thank you.
Thank you.